We have seen during the last 5 years significant initiatives, innovative ones, which have made a difference. The Gordon Brown initiative for immunization, the airplane tickets and United, 300 million a year are produced that way, and if more countries were to join the founders, this could be an important source for financing. We will talk certainly about the huge allocation of special drawing rights which has been decided by the London Summit, 250 billion. Here also we can be imaginative in the way of this money could be allocated better to the poorest countries. So there is an effort which would be in order and urgent in this field. I would talk also about the possibility of using guarantees in the multilateral institutions to facilitate private investments. All of that must be discussed and decided on. But I would add also that there is also room for improving, strengthening the present partnership between major industrialized countries, new emerging donors, the so-called BRICS, and Africa. There is a lot of things which can be done. The grounds have been prepared, things have been done, significant changes can be produced, and then we will have to ask ourselves also about the suggestion President Kufuor was making yesterday about the need of having at the global level the global institution which could address seriously this issue. It's an unbelievable attitude of the world community to have a problem so evidently global in nature with no global institution to address it. But possibly we could discuss later.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Michel. I think what's very interesting in a way is the assumption behind your remarks, with which I totally agree, that we're facing essentially a development crisis, and that climate change is development under much tougher circumstances. In other words, it's not some kind of boutique or separate issue, it's about tougher development, and that has implications for our own conversation now. Ksenia, your turn.
Thank you. I fully agree with what you just said, that it's not only adaptation issue, it's a development issue. And very often when we are discussing financing needs for adaptation and focusing on the dedicated instruments for adaptation finance, we forgot the most important issue, that development finance, development assistance must be delivered in full. Because adaptation has to be built on something. It can be also only very strong development platform and very strong development programs which can make adaptation successful. I'm trying to dutifully answer the questions you posed. So what are financing needs for adaptation, how they're calculated? On the one hand, we have a number of assessments which point to 30 to 50 billion per year over the next 25, 30 years for developing countries. For developing countries. But they do have some methodological limitations, including exactly that not all of them separate really adaptation to future climate risks with the current adaptation deficit. And some of them are estimated without really even kind of trying to answer the first question, what adaptation is and how it can be defined. Nevertheless, again, several studies consistently put to this number, and the World Bank at the moment is at the final stages of a major project of the global economics, global cost of adaptation. And we hope that there will be a little bit better estimate available in a matter of 1 or 2 months, both at the global level, for developing countries, for developed countries, for countries at different development level, as well as we are undertaking several country pilots in 7 countries around the world. Anyway, if you take this number, 30 billion or 50 billion or 20 billion, what is available in dedicated adaptation finance is a very small fraction. We are talking less than 5%. We have about $500 million for a few years in global environmental facility and special UNFCCC funds, least developed country fund, and special climate change fund. Well, there are some bilateral funding. Adaptation fund, which was established recently, can, in principle, generate up to $500 million per year, but at the moment is still in the process of setting up. And the World Bank recently signed a legal agreement with the Conference of Parties to serve as the financial trustee for the adaptation fund, and we hope to be able to help its fund raise resources very soon. And there are a number of other instruments, including the pilot program for climate resilience, which was recently established under the climate investment funds. Climate investment funds is a partnership program of several multilateral development banks. And the pilot program for climate resilience has about $500 million in pledges. But a very important question which you raised, how to use these funds effectively. And because financing by itself, it's critical but not enough. You need an enabling policy and institutional environment, you need capacity, strong country ownership, and strong country vision of priorities. Sometimes we hear from developing countries that financing comes and it's available for certain specific things, while other things which are critical to enabling those projects to happen cannot be implemented because there is no financing there. So one of the important areas this year is really packaging and leveraging with development programs and with development finance. So adaptation financing can really complement and enhance the kind of development priorities of our countries and could come in a package with a program which first of all supports economic and social development objectives.
Sure. I mean, is there a danger that if we say, you know, adaptation is development under more difficult circumstances, that people will say, well, you don't need additional funds, you need to use the existing funds, and that you don't need, you know, your 50 billion, will there be a political argument that actually, you know, you don't need 50 billion, because if you're using the existing development resources properly, the need for the extra 50 billion would be reduced. Is that argument being made?
I would disagree with this line of argument. Because first of all, again, we don't have enough finance even for, even as human climate change is not happening, we don't have enough development finance for achieving Millennium Development Goals and other objectives. So I think that what is clear is that development in a hostile environment costs more, and it requires additional finance. And it can come from a variety of sources. And to some extent, it's really for parties to the conventional and political process to decide from which sources they will come. But for us as a development institution, it's important that this finance is available and it serves the need. And it serves the needs and it meets the needs. And it really enables countries to achieve both economic, social, and environmental sustainability objectives together. Just in terms of fast-forward and adaptation, well, I think that we have examples already how it's happening. One of them is Bangladesh. If those who visit Bangladesh, I mean, going outside urban areas, it's amazing how the country-like landscape is already kind of being adapted to extreme, very frequent floods and other natural disasters.